Hey guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. It's April 1st, 2023. Rainy, kind of an ugly day in New Jersey, but the tulips and tiger lilies are ready to come out of the ground and start bringing some color to the state. So let's jump right into it. First of all, I just wanted to bring up that this is the final Sports with Mono and Mono podcast, which may come as a surprise to everybody. And actually, I'm kidding. April Fools. No way. As Mike Garvey would say in Naples, good one. No, we're in this for the long haul, and we thank you for listening week after week and can't appreciate it more. So, anyway, so everybody relax, all of our loyal listeners. Rob and I will be back next week. Anyway, it's April 1st, and let me give an update. So I saw Steve last week, and he's getting around pretty good. Very optimistic. He's not going to be with us for a little stretch at least, but he's anxious to get back. And again, I just can't thank everybody enough for all their thoughts and prayers, and it's just been remarkable. And he's a sports guy. He was a great athlete, and hopefully he can just find that inner peace that still exists in him, and he's going to bounce back. I'm looking forward to having him back on the show, and I'll keep giving you updates. You keep sending the thoughts and prayers, and we appreciate it. So we'll go right into our monologue this week, which is sponsored, of course, by Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York. And missed Guy's call this morning, but he was asking about Steve. Of course, they were teammates together with me at St. Joe's, and just can't thank him enough for being the sponsor of our show for so long. And anyway, so going into the monologue. So last week's monologue was play ball, right? Baseball, start of spring, and we're going to get into baseball in a little bit. But it also starts golf season. And something, the Masters is only about a month away, and it's going to be very unique this time. We have the whole situation with the Live Golf and those players. I'm kind of bummed. Once they signed on with them, I was hoping they'd be done with the PGA Tour, but they will be playing at Augusta next month, and it's still the greatest golf tournament there is, and there'll be a lot of tension. I really do believe it. And a lot of people, and one of our loyal listeners will be joining the show in a little bit, actually, has been watching the Live Golf. And, people keep saying, well, the PGA Tour is not the same because, the Dustin Johnsons and the DeChambeaus aren't there. And I say, you know what? The PGA Tour has the best players in the world still playing. You still have the McIlroys, you still have the Scotty Schefflers, right? And he's not a one and done like DeChambeau. He had a good run, but this guy Scheffler's in it for the long haul. So we got guys like that and Morikawa, and it was funny because I was reading some commentary about the relationship between Tiger Woods and Bryson DeChambeau, and they don't know if it's because he went over to the Live Golf and so forth. And I said, no, he thought he was going to be the next biggest name in golf, and he wasn't. Hasn't done much, and I have no interest in seeing him play in Saudi Arabia, Japan, wherever they play. But we got the best guys. We got the Morikawas, and we got the Schefflers, and it's going to open the door for the next future generation of golfers. Just like Scotty Scheffler came onto the scene, and he's going to be on this scene for many, many years. So it's great to see. But the Masters gets underway next week, and like I said, that is a perfect start to the spring, at least for me. And so a lot of people say they don't watch golf, Rob. I don't know if you do or not, but the Masters is like watching 4 days of the Super Bowl. It's great. Um, anyway, so that's our monologue, right, for April 1st. And Let's just jump right into it. Basketball, and let's talk about the women's side first, because it's been an unbelievable tournament. It's been a great run, and you got Caitlin Clark at Iowa, who actually was named Player of the Year over Aliyah Boston from South Carolina, who lost last night. Shocker, right? I think they had like, I don't know, 45 straight wins, defending champions, and wow, this Caitlin Clark is some basketball player. It's really kind of been more into the women's basketball tournament this year than many years before, and you got a great matchup. Um, LSU, and again, let's talk about the star player for LSU, known as the Bayou Barbie, right? That's Angel Reese. This beautiful girl, great basketball player, and now that this nil stuff is out there, she's going to make a gazillion dollars whether she dribbles a basketball in the pros or not. She's that good, but and Kim Mullaney, right, coach of LSU, she's kind of always been there, right? Kind of the Pat Summit type coach, that just has won, and it's going to be a great matchup. LSU knocked off Virginia Tech last night, but you got to give a shout out to the Hokies, because they never made the Final Four, and it's been that kind of a year in basketball. We'll talk about the men's in a little bit, but that's going to be a great game. You got the player of the year, the best player in college basketball, going against just a formidable LSU team. And you know what? I'm going to go with Iowa on this, because I just think this Caitlin Clark has that piece. LSU's been there before; they've won it before, and they're not going to obviously roll over. But it's going to be a great game, right? So the final is, Rob, I think it's tomorrow at 6 p.m. Right? And by then we'll know about the men's side, right? We got 4 teams left in this March Madness insanity that we've been watching, and let's talk about these games, right? You have UConn. First and foremost, I'll give full disclosure on my 4 picks from last week. 0-4. I couldn't pick my nose on it. Florida Atlantic knocks off Kansas State, which was a shocker to me. UConn absolutely annihilated Gonzaga. I mean, which, there was a kind of a sad way to go out for Drew Timme. I was hoping he'd have a chance to in the Final Four and get that national championship. That's why he came back. But everybody's been kind of, under the radar UConn. It's just, this team is for real. And they showed it against Gonzaga, and they're going to have to show it against Miami, because Miami is a very good basketball team as well. But as you know, I can't root for Miami, so I'm taking UConn in that game. And the second game is Florida Atlantic and San Diego State. One of those who would have thunk it type things, right? The Florida Atlantic University Owls from Boca Raton, Florida. This would be an unbelievable Cinderella story, and it would be just great for college basketball. And Final Four is today, and the final is Monday night, usually, right? Again, starting at 9 o'clock drives me crazy because it's too late. You want the young kids and the younger audiences to watch this stuff as it unfolds, but I'm going with the Florida Atlantic Owls, Rob, and I want your 2 picks as well. You did a little better than me last week, kid. I'll give you that. So who do you like in these 2 games? UConn, Miami.
I think Miami could be very disruptive to what UConn's doing, but the 2 big men for UConn, I think, are too much to overcome.
Okay.
I got UConn, and of course,
Right.
I'm going with Florida Atlantic. I mean, I'm going to be in tonight. Every year, St. Mary Rutherford has a big fundraiser to watch the Final Four.
Okay.
And it's going to be extra special tonight with Nick Boyd playing, the graduate playing for Florida Atlantic. So, FAU, let's go Owls.
Right, but you can't dismiss the San Diego State Cinderella stories. They're a pretty good team.
Yeah, I'm not giving. Yeah, I'm not saying that.
No, I'm going against them too, but not because I don't think they could win. I just think this Cinderella March Madness stuff continues, and that's going to be a great final if both of us, are right. Because I got UConn and I got Florida Atlantic, so we'll see. It's Monday night. Can't wait. And you can't help but think we had a notable passing. Remember about 6 months ago, Rob, Billy Packer calling the games, and
Yep.
Steve and I have been watching every single final game for 50 years at least. And uh, just what a great tournament. It was just really an outstanding tournament. And you got 4 teams, and both the men's and women's college basketball season did not disappoint. They'll get some good ratings too.
Oh, you're right.
Right.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, Rob, let's move on to what we talked about baseball. And, it was a big day for this young kid, Anthony Volpe, right? Named starting shortstop. And of course, the parallels with Derek Jeter and all that kind of stuff are, a foregone conclusion, right? But this kid is really a nice kid. He's polished. And what a big moment for him, 21 years old. And you know what, Rob? You're a high school baseball guy. I'm a high school baseball guy. Steve's a high school baseball guy. I know I saw Anthony Volpe play for Del Barton against St. Joe's a couple times, and I had no idea that he was going to be starting shortstop for the New York Yankees 3 years later. It's amazing.
And you saw Leiter's son too.
What? He made the roster?
No, but he's close.
Yeah.
They're best buddies.
Yeah.
Did you Hey, Jim, did you notice that Del Barton, the baseball team itself, canceled a scrimmage game so they all could be there for Volpe's first game?
Yeah, cool. I saw them. They had a shot of them with all their Del Barton uniforms.
That's
right?
Pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that was great. And look, what kind of season is this going to be? Well, we're only 160 games to go, but funny thing, right? Aaron Judge, first time up, hits a home run, 422 feet. That means he's going to hit what, 97 this year?
75.
75. Okay. So that was kind of a good story. And the backstory was that it came down to the Yankees and the Giants. And now he decided, which Sports with Mono and Mono always held steadfast, that he was never leaving New York. He's the captain. He's the team. And that was a great moment for Yankees. They win opening day. 45 degrees. It was cold there. Did you go to the game? Did you say you were going?
No. Hell no.
Yeah, no, that was cold. But you know what? When you're sitting in Yankee Stadium at opening day and it's 45 degrees, it doesn't feel 45 degrees.
I'll tell you what, Jim, it's pretty ironically special that Derek Jeter, same thing, grew up with the Yankee hat on, wanting to be the shortstop of the New York Yankees. Volpe, same exact thing. Picture yesterday, he's 2 hours old, being born. He got a Yankee hat on already.
Yep.
Like it was destined. These two guys were destined to be Yankees.
Oh, it really is a great story. This is exactly what we root for,
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's funny because now he's wearing number 11. And the last guy I remember wearing number 11 was Fred Chicken Stanley, who was the shortstop for the Yankees back in the 70s. You remember him? Yeah, you may be too young.
Yeah. But I think it was a total class act to call Brett Gardner and ask him, may I wear your 11? Because they're never giving 11 out anymore. But he called up Brett Gardner and said, "Do you mind if I wear your number?"
Oh, for God's sakes! Why would Brett Gardner have a say in anything like that?
Well, he's a beloved Yankee, and
Okay, but he's not.
I know you don't like him, but
he's not number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, come on, Brett Gardner, you're putting in that category. Let's just hope 20 years from now we look back and say Anthony Volpe is number 11, and nobody can wear it because he wore it. That would be the story, right?
Yep.
So how about your Mets? Let's talk about your Mets. Right?
No. My Marlins.
Okay, they split 2 games with the Mets so far, right?
I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Okay. What are you thinking about these new pitch clock rules and all the chaos? It's taking away from the momentum of the game. I truly believe that.
A little bit, a little bit. But the real controversy is going to happen when it affects the outcome of the game. Like
And
3 on, 2 outs, bottom of the ninth. The guy goes too long,
yeah,
and either way, the guy walks in or the game's over at that point, and
yeah,
people are going to be pissed off when that happens.
right. And they called the ball on for Alonso for walking back from second base to first base. He took too long.
Oh, come on. By the way,
That actually happened.
Your guest is ready, by the way.
Okay, join in. We got this is our loyal listener segment, loyal listener appreciation segment, and here we go. There he is, the man of the hour, Andrew Carolyn.
Hey, Jim, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt the flow there.
Oh, this is what our loyal listeners are more than welcome on the show anytime. Thanks for joining us, Andrew.
Hey, great to be with you, Jim, and thanks, Rob. Hey, shout out to Coriano Trucking and Lynch Toyota.
Yes.
Love the show. And of course, hey, Steve, we're all pulling for you. Can't wait to have you.
I appreciate that, Andrew. And like I said, I appreciate you listening to the show and the insight and the emails that you send us. And, without you, Andrew, and the rest of our loyal listeners, we're nobody. And when Steve and I get the ESPY for Best Podcast of the Year down the road, you may get a ticket to an invite.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
All right. So listen, a little backstory with Andrew. Andrew was a teammate of mine at St. Joe's. He's a Beer Fidelis St. Joe's grad, like his brothers are. And, Andrew, that seems like a lifetime ago, which it was, but, we stayed close. That's the St. Joe's bond that you and I have always talked about.
Yeah, I would love the brotherhood at St. Joe's, and one of the segments usually on the show, right? Especially in the fall, an update on St. Joe's, the game of the week, their prior game, and it's great. It's great, the brotherhood, right?
It is. It is. So, Andrew, I congratulations. You're a newlywed to Melissa, I believe. Are you still classified? You can get on the show with Bob Eubanks or what?
Yeah. So some of your younger listeners really don't know that reference, but yes, of course, we know that one, the newlywed.
Okay. And here's another distinction for Andrew Carolyn. Andrew is one of about, I think, 8 or 9 people that actually watch live golf tournaments. So how's that going for you, Andrew?
So that's one of, right, Jim, our bond is really St. Joe's, but we also share a love of Notre Dame.
Yes, we do.
Right, and we agree on the NBA. That's like, who cares at this time of year?
Yep.
Where we disagree, Mets, Yankees. I pull for the Mets. Unfortunately, the Jets, and well, at least the Devils have won in the last 20 years, right?
And the Devils are a real good team. The Rangers got to look out for them.
Right. It would be nice if the Mets can win a postseason round at least, but really without a World Series, it's going to be disappointing, and that's what life is as a Mets fan.
You got it. No question about it. So, Andrew, as a loyal listener, let me ask your opinion on a couple things. We don't do everything right. What kind of improvements do you think we could do on this show?
Jim, I really love the format, right? The monologue, great start always. Current happenings in professional football, right? In the NFL, Major League Baseball, right? Hockey, a little bit on the NBA. Perfect. Okay. Golf. Love that. I know, throwing a little tennis for Mike Garvey, right?
He does. Yeah.
And maybe the only other thing, if and you'll give a shout out for a sports documentary that you see, whether it be on ESPN.
Bill Russell, for example, right?
And maybe have your loyal listeners, if they've got a book recommendation, email you that book recommendation and just give that book a shout out.
Okay.
Also, notable passings and random points. Love it. I mean, we don't love that people die, but people die and you honor them.
And we do that, as you know, not as to be downtrodden, but to actually memorialize the figures that we respected or were good at their craft, all that kind of stuff. You got that right, you know?
Yeah, we love it.
But Andrew, listen, I appreciate you jumping in and joining the show today. And I appreciate your thoughts and prayers for Steve. And it's just been great to have you. It's been great being a friend of yours. And, you know, you're not just listening to the show because you're a friend of mine. I think you enjoy it. And I love bringing the sports thoughts that, just stimulate the mind. And, it's great. And I love that you got your St. Joe shirt on. That's good.
I had to do it.
Good
Hey, well,
PR.
and good luck to Luke later this month, right? A
Yeah,
few weeks
right.
away.
This guy's going to be he's going to be an NFL player, and you and I have known him since he was
Oh,
3 feet
before,
tall.
before he was a teenager, we met Luke.
Absolutely. Oh, I remember him literally running the water bottles on and off
Yeah.
the field.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I really do.
Yes.
But Andrew, thank you, and listen, good luck, and thank you to Melissa, and best of luck in your marriage and all that stuff, and thanks for listening to the show, and we'll see you again. Keep the comments coming, my friend.
All right. Look forward to seeing you every week and in person soon. Take care, Jim.
Okay, Andy. Thank you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
How about that, Rob? We got a good listener out there, St. Joe's, and I know you brought that up to me before that St. Joe's is playing St. Mary's. That's your team, but that's high school baseball. It's underway, and Andrew goes to the games. I'll see him 5 times. Great, thank you, Andrew. And listen, Rob, we just got a shout out from Miriam from Washington D.C. And you know what, Miriam, you've given a great, I don't know, just a support structure for Stephen, and I really appreciate it. And he misses you, and thank you again for A, being a loyal listener, and B, being so caring for my brother Steve. Appreciate it. So Rob, what else we got? I think we covered baseball, right? We're only 2 games in. There's enough going on, but Verlander gets hurt already. This is the 39-year-old, 40-year-old guy coming off rotator cuff surgery.
That was the problem with the Mets, right? They put all their, they're obviously trying to buy a championship. Literally, Steinbrenner was always blasted for the high payrolls and stuff, but
Yep.
Steve Cohen is literally trying to buy an all-star at every position.
I know.
And he don't care, and the rest of baseball is pissed off about it.
I know they are. Yep. But that's baseball. Look at the San Diego Padres. I don't even know how they can. Obviously, there's no salary cap in baseball because everybody on the Padres is making $30 million a year. It's insane.
Yeah.
Right?
They're a sleeper pick for this year, too.
Yeah.
They could very well be in the World Series this year.
Well, listen, I think we know the 5 teams that will start the season are probably going to be there, right? The Dodgers, the Mets, the Phillies, the Braves, and the Yankees, right? I don't think there's any other, not really much competition. Could Cleveland sneak in or something like that? No, they're not in that top 5. So let's see how the Mets start out. And again, it pains me to say it because I'm a huge Buck Showalter fan, but I just can't root for the Mets, and I don't think they have enough to unseat the Atlanta Braves or even beat the Dodgers this year. But 160 games to go, and we'll be checking that out. But that's something to be worried about. This Verlander. Is he 40? Who's 40? Scherzer or him? One of them's 40, right? I don't know.
I'll check.
Yeah. So anyway, Rob, so let's move on to the NHL. And like Andrew was talking, he's a big Rangers fan as well. But he's a Devils fan too. And Rob, I remember the days, going to see the Devils in their championship, stretch run they had with Scott Stevens. And, we used to go to the games right across the street from Giant Stadium. I used to think that Brendan Byrne Arena was great. And as a little trivia note, I was in Brendan Byrne Arena the first night it ever held an event. And you know what that event was? A
What's that?
Bruce Springsteen concert. It wasn't even a Devils game. But the
Yeah,
Devils are really good. I watched them play the Rangers the other night, and I'm a diehard Ranger fan, but this is a team you got to worry about. Them and the Carolina Hurricanes, and not to mention obviously the Boston Bruins, who seem almost unbeatable, unstoppable right now.
Verlander is 40, by the way.
Huh?
Verlander is 40.
Okay. And his arm is 46.
At least.
Right?
He's no Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so hockey is, we're at 7-8 games left, maybe. And then the playoffs start, which is a whole nother season, right? It's possible you could play 4 7-game series in the National Hockey League, which is almost a third of a season. It's amazing, but it's exciting as hell. And with the year Connor McDavid is having, clear-cut MVP this year, he may be the MVP for the next 5 years. That's how good this guy is, right? So Rob, let's move right on to the NBA. In the NBA, right? We're down to what? 6 games now? 6, 7 games, right?
Hey, Jim, real quick. Speaking of NBA, did you see who your arch enemy in Paramus signed as new head basketball coach?
I did not. No.
Tim Thomas.
Tim Thomas. Didn't he play for Patterson Eastside or something?
Well, he went to Patterson Catholic.
Oh, Patterson Catholic.
One year at Villanova, and he played 12, 13 years in the NBA, including the Knicks.
And what? He got hired as Paramus's head coach?
Paramus Catholic's new head coach, yes.
Oh, PC, yeah. Okay.
And then they hired some new AD, too, who actually, the new AD has St. Joe's ties.
Oh. Vir Fidelis. Everything has St. Joe's ties, Rob. You know that.
Yeah, I know that.
But anyway, there was actually I was reading up on this. LaMarcus Aldridge retired after 16 seasons, and Aldridge came out. He was the number 2 pick in I think the 2006 draft, and played at the University of Texas. Rob, he had a pretty good career. I mean, he scored over 20,000 points, averaged 19.1. That's a good career. He's a pretty good kid. But I looked up. I was surprised because I know he played, I think, 9 years or something maybe with the Portland Trailblazers. But I thought he might have won a championship with the San Antonio Spurs, but he did not. He got them to the Western Conference Finals. But you know what? This is the kind of we continuously talk about with the state of the NBA and who's good, who's a thug, who's, overrated, all that kind of stuff. This guy was a consistent basketball player for 16 years. And you know what? Congratulations to him. He put up some good numbers. And like I said, when we see something good in the NBA, we bring that up too. Just like when we see something that's not good, which is basically the entire state of the game right now, we bring that up too.
So Jim, real quick.
Yep.
The new AD is class of 84, St. Joe's.
What's the last name?
Jimmy Cavallo.
Oh, of course. Jimmy Cavallo he's the sports guy from News 12.
Now he's the AD at Paramus Catholic.
Yeah, Jimmy Cavallo. We know him very well. He's a big loyal listener of the show, actually. And him and Steve were very, very tight at St. Joe's.
All right. We have to get him on, right?
Awesome. I didn't know that. Thanks for bringing that up. Jimmy Cavallo's a good guy. Actually, I had a conversation with him at the St. Joe's Don Bosco football game last season. Good guy.
All right. There you go.
Wow. He's going over to the enemy, though. I mean, this guy is a loyal St. Joe's guy,
Yeah, the enemy has some money, right? Him, Tim Thomas. They got some money over there in Paramus Catholic.
I guess. Wow. Congratulations, Jimmy Cavallo. But Rob, before we move off the NBA, I think this whole situation, again, when we talk about Kyrie Irving, I mean, wherever this guy goes, things just blow up, and they're blowing up in Dallas, and they might not even make the playoffs.
Yep.
And that's a shame because everybody wants to see, even I want to watch Luka Doncic in the playoffs. I think this guy is a superstar. I mean, he's a whiner, kind of Sidney Crosby type player. Everyone, he's always barking at everybody, but we'll see how that goes. But
Well, I heard this on sports real quick. I heard this on sports radio this past week regarding Kyrie. This may be the last season the guy plays. I mean, the only team that really wants him are the Lakers. All right.
Well, that's where he's going.
They have no salary cap space to sign the guy. And is he gonna play for $3 million? No, his ego's too big.
Rob,
he may be exiled out of the league after this year.
No, he's going to the Lakers, and they'll cut 20 guys before they let him, and they're going to pay him at least $30 million a year. 30.
And that'll be the fourth team in a row that he joins and falters with.
Exactly. So this is what we can't stand about the NBA, that this guy is an absolute cancer wherever he goes, and it's kind of hard to believe because at Duke and even at Cleveland, he was a decent, articulate kid that just went out and played basketball, and now he's turned into the reason we don't even watch the NBA during the regular season. And the Knicks now, we've been crying about getting rid of this guy, Randall. So now he's out, and, that kind of dims the chances. I think the guy's an out-of-control basketball player, but if the Knicks even have a shot at winning at least one conference, round, they're going to need this guy, and he's going to miss the first series, I'm sure. So, and one other thing with this, every time, and there's only one sports show I kind of listen to because I'm in the morning and there's nothing else on. I like Boomer and Geo. I like that show. I think they give the updates with Jerry Recco, and Jerry Recco is a big Rutgers guy, and saw him at a baseball game actually last year. Nice kid. But, sometimes I hear these other guys talk about like quickly. One day he's maturing. RJ Barrett, one day he's maturing. Next day, they're saying these guys, they're not NBA leaders kind of thing. It's just crazy with the Knicks. I just can't stand it, actually. So, and I'm going to tell you about this one player in this league that has such a burning desire to win the game and win a championship is this guy, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He really is the player he's making $1 billion. But it's more about, and that's the piece in the NBA that's been missing. These guys Kyrie Irving could care less if he wins an NBA championship because he's making $45 million. But Giannis Antetokounmpo wants to win and wants to go down as one of the greatest players, and he's going to go down as one of the top 5 players of all time. So I just wanted to bring that up. And Rod, the only thing I want to touch base on in the NFL is this Lamar Jackson situation. I kind of like it. I think it's great that this guy had the arrogance to represent himself, make these demands on his team to pay him, doesn't show up for work, when they needed him the most in the playoffs. I mean, my God, Lamar Jackson, if anybody signs this guy, he could have been making $45 million a year if he just kept his mouth shut, came to work, and now he's not going to make anywhere near that. People are signing guys like Baker Mayfield, Jimmy Garoppolo, all before they're even considering, what this would bring to their team if they sign Lamar Jackson. So, he just took a right down the Le'Veon Bell highway, and you just left tons of money on the table. Will somebody sign him? Yes. Will he ever play for the Baltimore Ravens? Not if I owned the team, he wouldn't. That's for sure.
Well, it has to be done soon because if the Ravens are not going to sign the guy, then they're going to make a trade, get a high draft pick, and draft a quarterback.
Okay.
Or else you're screwed.
Yeah.
So it has to happen soon.
Nobody in that locker room wants him back on that team, and that's for sure. When you quit as an NFL player or a football player or a teammate, you quit, you lose that locker room for good. So good riddance to him. Rob, let's move on to our random points of interest, which of course is sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut, and hope all is well out there, Mike. Saw some old pictures from college that was Mike and I, and it was looking at these things, and we actually looked young back then. It was so funny. But thanks for the support, Mike, and being the sponsor of our show. So, Rob, a couple of little points here. Interesting little side bit in the NHL with this pride jersey thing, and the Chicago Blackhawks said they can't do it. And, at first I was like, well, listen, I mean, this is the way it's going. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't, but it is tied to some Russian law that Putin put in, kind of about, any support for the, alphabet community kind of thing is just, it's against the law. And the retribution these Russian players can get, I actually support the decision not to wear those uniforms and put that guy, whoever, a Russian player or his family in jeopardy. And there would be retribution because that's, you got a maniac running the world here. So I just thought that was interesting and I support it. I support the community, but I support their right not to put one of their players in jeopardy. Another thing in hockey, though, this was an odd thing, right? There was some sexual abuse case for the 2018 Canada team. And a couple of these guys are now in the NHL. The Cale Makars, the Brett Howdens, and even the goalie for the Flyers. So this is an ugly scene. There's some allegations out there that this was a bad thing, man. And these guys are going to have to answer the bell. And I don't know a lot of the details. A lot of the details haven't come out. But in the meantime, these guys can't play for their home country, pending this investigation. Crazy thing. Rob, something Steve and I have always been a proponent of was Major League Baseball and the way they kind of dismissed and treated the minor leaguers. Well, the minor leaguers just signed a collective bargaining agreement, so all these kids are going to start making a little bit more than they were making before, and I think that's awesome.
Good. Yeah, of course.
Right? And we got a personal thing because my nephew Brendan, the pitching coach at Rutgers, was a minor league baseball player, and it was just appalling to some of the conditions these guys had to do to chase that dream. Right? Volpe didn't have to take a bus, right? He played for the Somerset Patriots, and now he's the starting shortstop. That's the dream of every kid. That's why they play in the minor leagues. And my nephew is now the pitching coach for one of the best pitching staffs in the country. It's just great to see, and I'm happy for that. And when I told Steve about this, he smiled because I know he was a big proponent of it too. And we always advocate, you and I, go to a high school baseball game, go to a minor league baseball game in your area. It's great. And listen, speaking of that, here's one of your former ex-Mets, Daniel Murphy, signed a contract. He's playing with the Long Island Ducks. And the Long Island Ducks, by the way, my nephew, Brendan, also played for the Long Island Ducks. The manager at the time was Dave LaPointe, former pitcher in Major League Baseball for many years. Remember him? Mm-hmm. And I think that the manager of the Long Island Ducks now is Wally Backman. So,
oh boy!
Right? So you want to see old, washed up, players? You can go see Daniel Murphy, who had a pretty good 3-year stretch in the major leagues when he was with the Mets. I'd give him credit for that. He really did. He put up some good numbers for that team. But good luck to him. I don't know how Daniel Murphy's got to be 40, right? He's got to be 40 something, I guess. But you never know. So, Rob, I also wanted to bring up, because we brought up last week that it's spring, that means baseball. And it's spring, that means it's the Masters. And it's spring, which means coming up a month from now, the Kentucky Derby. And it all starts today. And I wanted to give a shout out to my sister, Mary Ellen, who, she's quite the sports horsewoman, if you will. And She lives out in Kentucky and beautiful area and close to Keeneland and just, she sent me a thing. So we already got the pre-Derby favorites, or at least possible entries. And one of them was the horse's name was Forte, Fortea. And it was funny. She sent that to me and said, look who's the pre-Derby favorite. The quarterback, when I played at St. Joe's before Stephen took over, was John Forte. And so there's this St. Joe's thing reaches across the country and even into Kentucky. How about that? But today's the Arkansas Derby. And one of our loyal listeners, Walt, I think he pronounces it Arkansas. But Walt's a dear friend of mine, loyal listener to the show, and quite the horseman as well. So, this is the first race of the Derby season, right? We got the Florida Derby coming up. We got the Arkansas Derby today. So I'm going to give you 2 picks. I like Angel of Empire today, and I like 2 Eagles River. And Walt likes Red Route 1, I think. But anyway, these are 3-year-olds, and these are the future Derby guys. So you win and you're in, kind of thing. And Arkansas and horse racing is just as cool to me as baseball and football. Like, it really is. So, Walt, good luck on your bet. I'm sure DraftKings will be happy to take your money.
Huh.
Right? So, Rob, we got to bring something up. I have a picture. Were you able to bring a picture I sent you today?
Hold on.
Okay.
All right, do notable passings first. I'll get it up.
Okay. Well, if we jump into notable passings, this is an absolute rarity in sports. Nobody. How about that? I don't remember us not having at one, an actor or a baseball player or a former player or somebody associated with sports or movies. Not one. So that's actually good. We're happy to. Just as long as I'm not on that list, that means we're all good to go, right?
There you go.
We got a little picture coming up because
it's up there now.
Oh, I can't see it, but
yeah, it's up.
All right, so that's my grandson Hudson, and the little rascal is starting to stand up, and he'll be walking soon, and just be having a catch with his brother Logan, and playing with his sister Hayden, and I love those babies, Rob. We do the show, but I give him a little shout out, a little personal piece of the Monos, and these are Steve's nieces and nephews, and it's just the Monahans are a good family. But I also wanted to give a shout out to Lucia Robles, who is my better half, of course, and she just became a grandmother for the second time. Her son Kenny and daughter-in-law Bria out in Santa Barbara had another baby girl named Layton. So we wish them all the best. And like I said, I don't know I'm not sure I want to bring babies into this world, the way this world is going, but you know what? Congratulations to them. And beautiful, beautiful baby. And so you had the picture up, Rob.
Yep,
I appreciate that.
Yep.
Right? So, Rob, I'm holding here my notebook, and this is my notebook, one of my first notebooks that we had. And going through this, each and every one of these is a show. That's how many shows we have done. It's not my only notebook, but it's on the last page of this notebook. So I'm going to start a new notebook for Sports with Mono and Mono. And
there you go.
I'm looking at these dates. These go back to October of 2020. So that's how consistent we've been. Haven't missed a week. And Rob, I'm happy with our new venture. I'm happy that people are listening to the show through your channels and through our channels, and it's just been a great run, and it's going to continue. And like I said, looking forward to getting an ESPY award, and I'll bring you to the ESPYs if you want to be producer of the year. But thank you for pitching in. And like I said, it's all about our listeners, and just couldn't be happier that Andrew joined the show today, and that Steve is doing better every day. And, there's a lot of stuff in sports. It's going to be a great weekend. So set your clocks because, March Madness Final Four for the men's and women's starts. And, of course, there'll be a baseball. Yankees are playing today at 4. I'm not sure I get this whole play Thursday, take Friday off, and then play Saturday again. I don't know. Do you
It actually works out for them because about 4 o'clock is that window between the rain this morning and whatever the hell is coming later that keep warning us about.
Yeah,
it actually
I know.
Works out. It actually works out today.
Yeah, but you got the Mets and Yankees playing at the same time. So, right? Yeah, They're both on at 4, right? I think, are they still in Miami?
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, so take your pick, Rob. You got plenty of sports to choose from. And listen, you mentioned that maybe for the next 2 weeks, we may have to move the show to Sunday. Is that correct?
I would say for the month of April, starting next week, let's do Sunday until May. 3 out of 4 weeks, I got baseball games.
Okay, so this is just kind of a temporary thing, so we can get out and go see some high school baseball games as well. I'll probably see you at the St. Joe's, St. Mary's game.
I got broadcast 3 out of the next 4 Saturdays for St. Mary's.
All right. So this isn't a permanent thing. It's just reworking the schedule so we can get some PR to high school baseball in New Jersey. And absolutely, I'm all on board with it. But we'll do it Sunday next week, and then at least 2 weeks after that. But we'll be back on Saturdays in May, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, Rob. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening, everybody out there. And I'll give all your thoughts and prayers to Steve, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.
Have a great day.